Friday, April 11. That should be good news for most of you people that work 9 to 5 days a week. Yeah. I used to work 8 until 8. 6 days a week. 12. That's 72 hours a week. At least. It's mostly 80 hours a week. I'd have lunch and dinner break, but still it's, 14 hours a day. 8 in the morning till 10 at night, probably. 5 days a week. And then a 8-hour day on Saturday, or 4 on Saturday and 4 on Sunday. I was always doing something with our bank deal, yeah. Anyway, so I got some interesting, there we go, let's just, this right here, whoops, gotta show you this one. That's our sunrise this morning. That's a real one. I looked out the window, I said, oh my God, where's my camera? Where's my phone? Can you believe it? Where's my iPhone? My magical iPhone. Yeah, that device is unbelievable. I put it on 5x zoom to get rid of buildings on the left and the right. I turned up I adjusted the contrast so you could see the ocean. And you can see it's a little wavy out there. It's not flat. Yeah. A couple of birds flying in the air. No. It's spots on my screen. I thought it was a bird. No. The sky is clear. But as you can see, there is some action with the That's amazing. Yeah, that's what millions of people saw this morning. And what time was that? I looked up on the image. Exactly 7:02 a.m. Look at that. The sun is just peeking up across the edge of the water there. Apple iPhone Pro Max, 16 Pro Max. There you go. f2.8, 1,000th of a second. It's a good thing. That's your XF data, and you can see on the map exactly where I took the photo from. There you go. Look at that, you touch on it. It is crazy. We can get a satellite view. Yeah. From where it was taken. There we go. That's our apartment building. I can do a little 3D. There you go. You can see I'm one under the very top balcony is the 9th floor. I'm right underneath it. It's the 8th floor. I'm on 8. The ground floor there would be Chops. And the signage on the corner there, Chops Restaurant. We had an opportunity of getting this apartment right here on the 5th floor underneath those trellises. The 5th floor balcony goes all the way around. Can you imagine? I think that was apartment 501 or 510, something like that. It definitely had a huge balcony. Or was it? Maybe it was this one. I think it was this one. You see down here? Yeah. It was that one right there. It was on this corner. Mm-hmm. Marilyn was afraid our grandchildren would jump over the balcony. Meanwhile, they're 16 and 20 years old, and they still haven't come down here. Oh boy! I know that would have been a nice unit right there in that corner. It was probably on the 3rd level. Yeah. Or here's the one on the 5th level up here. Yeah, you can see it on the 5th. Yeah. Anyway. Instead, we took 801. Which is on this corner. Right there, I'm looking at the corner. So you could oversee the pool. Yeah. 801. That's the top band where you see the beige paint. The very top unit has like a gray color. Or it did when this image was taken. From Google. Unbelievable. That's from where I took the picture. I'll put the arrow right on it. Right, that apartment right there. I was standing right there. You see the arrow on the bottom of the picture? That's it. And I was looking. Whoop. I can keep rotating it. Yeah, I was aimed this way. I shot right through that golf course. Yep, right through that way. Yep. Okay. All right, we can hit the X. That's the picture this morning. Now that information, not all that Google stuff, but the actual coordinates from where the picture was taken is in the header of the picture. Yeah, excuse me. I'm trying to sip some of my. I did a little something strange this morning. I took my my morning coffee from my K-cup and filled this where am I? I filled my mug halfway with coffee and the other half with hot chocolate. And then I topped it off with some half and half. So I have coffee, hot chocolate, all in one thing. But it's hot. Excuse me. Live television. hot chocolate all over the place there. Coffee's one thing, hot chocolate is sticky. You don't want that all over your hands, right? Made a mess. There we go. So, we started off with a nice nice morning. So I can go through. There you go. And that's the ghost signal for Cyber Ghost. We're protected by Cyber Ghost to keep away, all the trying to turn down the it seems like the epidemic sound instrumental is very loud this morning. Let's just calm it down just a bit. Anyway, here's my Cyber Ghost insignia, which means that we should be protected with Cyber Ghost. I'm going to go full screen on this one, and let's hit Cyber Ghost and see. Are we on? There we go, see? You can't reverse pinch it. So now I'm protected with Cyber Ghost, yeah? And I see up in the very corner up here, if you look at the very top right corner, you can see the bars, you can see I'm on the Wi-Fi, and then it says VPN, Virtual Private Network. And the battery's 100%. Yeah. So that's important to have that on. I have no financial connection with Cyber Ghost. It's like $50 a year, and you can put it on 7 devices. 4, 5, 6, 7. And I don't see any opportunity to add 8 or 9 or 10. Which I guess I'll have to, I don't know if you can, they don't have phone numbers. They don't want you calling. They can't afford to have people answering the phone, because God knows how many people would call. Anyway, so that's what that's all about. And there you can see it's connected through Atlanta in the United States. And there's the IP, the internet provider access, 89.187.171.159. And the download speed and the upload speed and WireGuard. Anyway. The interesting thing about this is that if you wanted to watch something and it was blocked in the United States, you can change your country, to, instead of Miami, you can change it to London. And then everything that's available, like Netflix, maybe some certain movies aren't available in the United States, but they're available outside the United States. You can change your connected through, and you can you can watch the movie because it thinks you're in London. Or at least the provider of the content thinks you're in London, even though you're here. So you can connect all over the world. You can you can connect through Australia or any other continents, anywhere, South America. So if you're interested in seeing, like Sky News in London, you can connect through London and then, watch the TV channels from over there. Yeah, it's really quite amazing. Well, this is day 2 of the Masters, year 2025 Masters tournament. Justin Rose has I think he's like 42 years old. He has a 3-stroke lead over the crowd from yesterday's play, which you got the best players on the on the planet in the Masters. They want that green jacket. And my favorite guy is Scottie Scheffler, who was the all-time winner last year. Because I think he won the green jacket, and he won 7 or 8 other tournaments. So he's my favorite player. He's got a really goofy golf swing, so if you want to watch somebody to improve your golf swing, Scottie Scheffler is not your guy. Bryson DeChambeau is another one that has he's a real strong guy, big guy, strong guy, and he has when he has the driver in his hand, he widens his foot stance. He looks like he's gonna swing a baseball bat, and he just crunches it. Unbelievable. That's a dangerous swing, because if your wrists are too tight, you're going to slice it. Anyway, Scottie Scheffler's got some real strange footwork, if you will. All right. So, around 1 o'clock, something like that, I'll turn on. You can go down to some kind of a golf channel and watch. Watch until like 2 or 3, and then you have to switch channels to watch it. I think at 3 o'clock they switch over to the regular network. Anyway, you can see the VPN. You want to do VPN. It saved me. I thought I could not get my, there's so much going on in these computers these days. with the very sophisticated operating systems, and of course I push everything to the limit of the limit. And for some reason or other, from Saturday, Sunday, I could not get my MacBook Pro, the Air version of MacBook Pro, I couldn't get it connected to the internet. It kept on saying I can't get to the servers. It was the strangest thing. VPN saved my butt. So I said, let's turn on Ghost. That should be operating on my computer. And it is. And all of a sudden, then I did the speed test, and yippery, that got me connected. And that's what got me on. Excuse me. That's what got me on the air on Monday. And this is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Yep. This is the 8:30 edition of my broadcast. And we think of it, it's not a news show. I don't have a particular topic. It's whatever comes to mind. And what came to mind this morning was, the sunrise. What a nice picture taken with, my there we go. Yeah, that was quite a. I mean, Marilyn took a couple of pictures before the actual sun came up, and I was just, coming back from getting my mug of coffee, my first cup, at 7 o'clock. And I looked out the window, I said, oh my God, where's my phone? Where's my camera? I said, Marilyn, look out the window. And this sun was, about halfway up. And I figured, all right, well, it takes about 20 or 30 seconds, and whoosh, it gets up and away, and then it gets too bright. And of course, then you can't take the shot. But this was going through, some, distant cloud layers. So it cut down the intensity of the sun so you could actually see it, the disk. Excuse me, took another sip of my coffee hot chocolate combination here. Oh gosh. Whoops. So you've probably heard about, the New York. You can see New York helicopter. And there's the Spanish couple with the 3 kids. Yep. And there was a catastrophic, and I zoomed in on the family so you could see them, and they all had this, I don't know what that bag is. Welcome to New York City bags. Anyway, so they got on the helicopter, and they had about a 10-minute ride, and this shaft, powers those blades, and then there's another shaft that goes all the way across, to the rear portion where there's a spinning blade, spinning in an opposite rotation. If that blade back there wasn't functioning, the whole body of the helicopter would rotate. Of course, you don't want that. So it's like a fan that blows in the opposite direction of the spinning of the blades, and it's synchronized so that the chopper faces forward. Anyway, there was a catastrophic failure of the aircraft. So that whole, there's going to be an investigation to figure that out, but there's an engine, a couple thousand horsepower engine, I think, that powers these rotors, the one in the tail and the main one on the top. And the top rotor goes about 600 RPM, and it has a variable pitch. And when the pilot wants to go up, the variable pitch takes bigger slices of the air and it goes up. But there's a huge amount of stress between the engine and the gear shift that's going up to the rotor, and the other gear shift that's going to that tail fan motor. And it snapped. Something snapped and broke the entire ship in half. And when that happened, the rotors separated from the shaft up there, and the whole thing flipped upside down and dropped, 300 or 400 feet out of the air. Bam! And that, basically, knocked everybody out. I don't know what the right word is. So they all smashed into the water upside down. So, depending on their seatbelt situation, apparently 2 of the kids were not actually dead. All the adults were dead, but several of the kids were not. In other words, they still had some vital sign, and by the time they got to the hospital, they also passed away. Excuse me, I'm taking sips of my coffee hot chocolate combination. Yeah, so that was a terrible thing yesterday. That was the first. That was a shot, apparently, that the New York Helicopter Tours LLC. Anyway, they took a picture of the lovely family. And this morning it was flashed on the TV. So I thought I'd show it to you because most people haven't seen this shot. Yep, there you go. This is a little fuzzy. Might as well get rid of that one. This one is it. And another article that caught my attention, which you guys know I take a few photographs. There's the EOS 5D. I had that exact camera. And this article is talking about the greatest digital cameras of all time. And Canon, that's it. Now I have the 5D is a regular reflex camera, where you look through the pentaprism, and then there's a mirror, and the mirror reflects the light through the lens, through the pentaprism, and then into the peephole that you look at. And then when you take the picture, the mirror flaps up. Yeah. That's why they call it a reflex camera. Because the mirror, there's flexing and reflexing. So when you push the shutter button, the mirror opens up, and then the shutter does the exposure, and then the mirror flops down automatically. That's the 5D. Now when the mirrorless cameras came, there you go. So how does that work? I have that lens too. Yeah. That's the R5. That is a 45 million anyway, the 5D, I think, had 20 million pixels. Yeah. This has 45 million pixels. It's all the pixels you can. It fills the frame. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. The R5. Now, mirrorless means there's no mirror. There's no flopping up and down of the mirror. When you look through the viewfinder, at the back of the camera, you're looking actually at a super small TV screen, if you will. It's an LCD screen of, in the case of the R5, it's like a 3 million pixel. It's like if you've got a 60-inch TV screen in your living room, that has 3 million pixels. Okay? And they have been able to figure out how to shrink that down into something that's about the size of your thumbnail. So when you look through the peephole, it's focused on this really tiny, high-definition TV screen. It looks like you're looking through the reflex camera. I mean, it is just stunning, the quality of that image, which is, all the resolution that you need to determine if you have the right focus, and if it's a zoom lens, which this lens is that's being shown here. I can touch on that and move it around. The magic of, the Apple operating system. You see the red band around that lens? That means it's a very special lens. It's super high quality elements. And it has an image stabilizer in it, so you can switch it on or off. Now, it just so happens the R5 has image stabilization in the camera where the imager shifts left and right, or up and down, or any combination of left or right, up and down. If you're shaking, if there's a little camera shake. And both these systems will work in concert with each other, so you get super shake reduction, to steady the image even if you're not steady. Anyway, when you take out, it takes just marvelous pictures. But guess what? The iPhone, as crazy as this sounds, is getting closer and closer to the quality of this 3-pound beauty, the iPhone. And this year, in September, you know what the iPhone looks like, the camera side. Let's see if I can have it seems like I just there we go. the iPhone 17. See the 3 cameras? Those are the 3 lenses. And they have highly polished sapphire, perfectly flat sapphire lenses in front of the lenses, so that that's in your pocket and all this. It won't scratch the actual coatings off the lenses, which are right underneath. That's what that little bubble, that's the arc of the lens that's actually receiving the light and focusing it onto the imager underneath. But Apple puts, a 1 millimeter thickness. I don't know how thick it is. 1.5 millimeter. A very thin sliver of sapphire, and it's perfectly polished. You would think it's part of the lens of the camera. It's not. It's something that protects the lens. And all 3 lens systems have a sapphire cover on top. They've been doing that ever since they had cameras on the iPhone, dating back 10 years ago. It's the same sapphire that's on the front of the Apple Watch if you buy the $600 Apple Watch. The more expensive one has a sapphire crystal, which is very hard. The only thing harder than the sapphire crystal is a diamond. So you want to scratch the surface of, this sliver that's protecting the lens. You could scratch it with your wife's diamond ring, if your wife has a diamond ring. That's why I captured that. Anyway, iPhone 17. An exclusive camera feature. That's what this article's about. I read all the exclusive features. The biggest feature of all is that the middle camera is focusing its lens on a prism. Apple calls it a quad prism. And that's what gives you the 5x optical zoom. Well, it's connected to a 12. It's focusing the light onto a 12 megapixel imager. They are upgrading that this year to a 45 million pixel imager. So each of these 3 cameras are all 3 independent lens systems. One's an ultra wide angle, one is a medium, a normal lens, and then the one in the middle here, like the one that's like in the background, that's the lens and the camera that's working with the prism, and now it'll be supported with a 45 million pixel imager. So all 3 separate cameras now. Right now the front 2 have 45 million pixel imagers, both of them. Now all 3, this year all 3 will have 45 million pixel imagers. So, and I'm taking pictures of the moon and all this stuff. In other words, that sunrise shot I just showed you, that was taken with this camera lens right here, because that's the one that goes to 5x optical zoom. Yep. And that sunrise is unbelievable. I am 1 mile away from that tree line, because that tree line is right at the beach. Another 300 feet. So that tree line is 5,000 feet, and the beach would be 5,300 feet away. So we're just about a mile away from the beach. That was a nice thing to see this morning. You don't see that every day. So this broadcast is like we're sitting in the coffee shop, and this person's talking and that person's talking, and in this case it's Jimmy talking, and this is the constant question: can the iPad replace the MacBook? Well, I'm dealing with an iPad right here, and I have it connected to the Magic Keyboard. So my iPad, where's Ed Jimmy? Producers, Ed Jimmy. There you go. This is my iPad Pro, they call it, and it's connected. I can lift it off this keyboard. There it is, and you see the keyboard, just the lights went out because the iPad is not connected with the three little dits that are over here on this side. Oops, so we're gonna, bam. So there is some super strong magnets that are in the back of the iPad Pro and also on the back of this Magic Keyboard. So when you get it lined up a certain way, bam, it connects, and it is, you have to rip it apart. Very strong magnetic field between the two. And that's the idea. You can peel it off, and you can attach it. And when you attach it, those three dits on the back of your iPad connect to the three dits that are lined up exactly, on the Magic Keyboard. And you've got yourself, a very, in my opinion, a very strong computer situation with the A16 processor, and I have 1 terabyte of memory, and I can show you the on the settings screen. We'll go to General, and then we'll hit About. Whoops, I gotta go full screen to see it. There we go. Because this multi-screen thing I got going here, it truncates part of the... So now when I'm full screen mode, you can see I'm shaking. You see my name there up on the very top. And then I've highlighted General. Here's my VPN. It's connected. We're going to General, and then I'm going to touch. See, to me, the touch screen is just like with a keyboard and all this, because this is like a computer keyboard. This is not some silly keyboard that doesn't work with your touch. It's a proper touch that you're used to if you're typing on a keyboard with your computer in the office, for example. All right, so I'm going to touch About, the top choice, About. So I have a real long name up there. So I got Jim W, 13-inch. I got an Apple there, iPad Pro. I created this whole thing, and it's the 2024 version with the M4 chip. And then I have the serial number of the device and the data line number 8930, 561213. That's the cellular phone number that's in the iPad. So if I go out and have lunch with a business client, I'm connected to the internet through the cell system. I don't have to connect. I prefer not to connect to the Wi-Fi system that's in, Starbucks or somebody, because someone in there is capable of hacking your iPad and getting your bank information and whatever you got in the iPad. So being able to connect to the cell system when you're out and about is the magical feature of the iPad Pro. And the rest of, it tells, up in the top here, it tells you AT&T version 63.0. That's like the modem. The modem firmware is 2.52.03. Yeah, there's so many tweaks that the system people are doing to improve on the operation of the modem and any other features of the AT&T connectivity. You can see the hexadecimal address to the Wi-Fi, my hexadecimal connection with the Bluetooth, the IMEI number, which is what the phone company wants to see if you have some connection problem with the the cell phone system that you're trying to connect through. They're going to ask you the IMEI number. The one that's beginning with the 35. Yeah. I've had only one time where they asked me the ICCID number, which is a huge number with 20 characters or something. Anyway, so that's the general information there. Back. So you have, let's go about again. See, I have where it says capacity. It's 1 TB, 1 terabyte. What's a terabyte? It's 1,024 gigabytes. 1,000 gigabytes. And I'm using, 660 of them. 660 gigabytes for storing. I've got 100,000 photos in here because all my devices, the iPhones and the iPads, they all sync up. So if I take a picture on one, the picture will show up on this one, and all the rest of 4 or 5 devices I've got. Yeah, you have a choice. Do you want all your devices to carry all the photos? Yeah. So that's why I'm using 600 gigabytes. I got a bazillion pictures and 500 videos and 4th of July. I'm gonna take a sip of my coffee. Yeah, it's about at a temperature that I can take it without burning my eyes. I burned my mouth a couple days ago. You can't take me anywhere. There we are. In this mode, you can't really see. You see that red band? That's the microphone. And I got this big black thing on here. So if I go full screen, you can see what I'm talking about. See, there's the microphone. And there I am. Hello. Yeah. So I'm adding this right here, and then, whoops, I'm going to switch it to the right side, swap cameras. The system thinks that this iPad is a camera, but it's not. I have it connected with a wire over here, black wire. And when I plug that into the MacBook with this Ecamm software, it thinks it's one of the cameras. But it's not. It's an iPad. Yep. And then I do screenshots of some of these stories that come up on my flip. See that red background with a white? That's an F. It's just that one piece, if you just pull that down a little bit and see a space between the two thingies that are going this way. Yeah, we're connected right together, so that's a modern F. Anyway. For Flipboard, that is my source of news that some people get the New York Times and read the paper, that'll eventually go away. People aren't going to get their news on paper. It's like the horse and buggy. Just because we have cars doesn't mean there aren't any horse and buggies. There's just a darn few of them. And there's live pictures up here of the upside down. That's a zoom shot. Those are the skis that the helicopter sits on when it's, on the dock when they loaded, when they got in there. And they climbed in there and they're flying around. And the thing the chopper just had a it broke in half. I mean, it completely disintegrated. And the cabin piece that they were in flipped upside down and dropped, 400 feet or 300 feet. I don't know what the altitude was. They usually don't go over 400 feet when they're flying around over the city. Some of the buildings are, like 1,000 feet tall. So they're going to fly over the building. They got to, get 100 feet over that. Oh my God. They're trying to pick up that helicopter. They got it. They're dragging it up out of the water. They've already removed the bodies. That's a shame. You got a family of 5, right? Husband, wife, and 3 kids. Whoosh, gone. And a 3-second drop. Something snapped, broke the chopper in half, went straight down like a rock, like a brick. Bam. And it's upside down, so, you got broken necks probably on most of them. I thought I read that several of the kids were still alive when they were riding to the hospital and died on the way. They couldn't get them fast enough. I was a lifeguard for a while when I was a kid. When I was a teenager, up till about the age of 21, I lifeguarded during the summer when they, you go to college and you come home for the summer. When I was home for the summer, I was a lifeguard. And the one thing you learn about life, life safety is that when someone drowns, as soon as water, so if you go underwater and you're held underwater for some reason or other, because you got your leg tied up in some seaweed and you couldn't get up to catch, your next breath, or You got your foot sucked into the main drain of the pool when the pump was on. There's a lot of suction pressure. There are deaths every year for that. There's usually a drain cover to protect any occupants in the pool. So if they have a hand or a leg that gets somewhere near that inlet for the main drain, which cycles back into the pool filtering system, they put instead of that pipe just coming up through the bottom, it is mounted below the bottom in a fixture where there's a bigger lens on top of that opening, a grid. So there's no way you're going to get stuck on that main drain, because it's 8, 9, 10 inches in diameter. About this big in diameter. Main drain, the swimming pool, maybe a foot in diameter. You put your hand on there. There's water flowing through there, but it's not enough, because it's a 12-foot screen you're putting your hand on instead of a 3-inch pipe, which you put your hand on that, it's gonna be stuck right on there because of the intensity of the suction power of the main drain. Yeah. Anyway, let's say you're stuck underwater for some reason. And then of course you go into a little panic. You're holding your breath as long as you can, and then all of a sudden you can't hold your breath any longer. So you breathe. You just there's a slight breathing in, if you will. Eventually, you don't want to breathe in because it's water, it's not air. But now you're done. You can't hold your breath any longer. So your body just reacts, and you end up with a 1/10 of a breathe in. Because you don't breathe in all the way, because as soon as your body senses that there's water coming into your lungs stop. You just stop. It's like someone turned the switch off. The Energizer Bunny. And as soon as water starts to enter your bronchial tubes, there's a signal that goes to your brain, and it stops. Your body just stops, like someone turned off the switch. However, that's just your muscle system. Your facial expressions gets frozen. Your eyes get frozen, and whatever, your eyelids are open or closed, however they were, that's the way they are. It's like your entire muscular system, the voluntary muscular system, and the involuntary, like your lungs, stop. But your brain is still working, okay, and your lungs, your heart's still beating. Anyway, so Marilyn just tried to call me. Let me ask her a question. What's up? There we go. I sent her a what's up message. The magic of text messaging. I don't want to answer the call because, I'm talking to you here, and I'm in the middle of talking about drowning. So the important part of this story, which I'm getting to, is I sent the sunrise to about 17 people on this one thread. Is that your heart is still beating, And whatever oxygen is in your lungs before the water started to enter them is absorbed and is circulating around your system, and your liver and your kidney, and all your organs and your skin, your heart is pumping. Now it's pumping blood that isn't properly oxygenated because you're not breathing, because you're underwater. And remember, as soon as you start breathing water in, all your muscle system just stops, including the ones that control the breathing in and breathing out. But your auto muscle systems don't stop. So your heart is still beating, and it's pumping around blood that is not properly oxygenated because you're not breathing 20 times a minute. You're breathing 0. So whatever oxygen is already dissolved into your hemoglobin, that's and it'll keep beating. Your heart will still beat. It, depending on the temperature of the water. If you're in cold water, like in the Atlantic Ocean, and you're drowning, ing, not drowned means you're dead. Drowning means that you're underwater. You're totally out of it, right? And you breathe in a little of that salt water, and all of a sudden your breathing stops, and your voluntary muscular system just ceases. Your arms are just frozen, your legs, nothing's moving, but your heart is beating. And your heart will beat for 3, 4, 5 minutes, depending on the state of the oxygenation of your blood, before you stop breathing, at the moment that you stop breathing, and the temperature of the water. The colder the water, the longer the heart will continue to beat. Now, after a couple of minutes, like 3 minutes, plucking a number, some people have lived as long as 30 minutes. In other words, they stop breathing underwater, in the real icy polar caps, you fall in. Let's say you fall in the hole where you're fishing. And then it takes 20 minutes for them to find you underwater by the time the rescue people come and all this crap. And they drag this body out from the frozen, the 36 degree temperature salt water. And they wrap you up, in blankets, and they put you into the ambulance. And they'll hear they may hear a heartbeat. And if that's the case, you're still alive. Now you may, your kidneys may have died, because organs will start dying off. And it's all dependent on the temperature of the water, quite frankly. So if you're in the hot sun, and you're in a swimming pool and the water temperature is 85 degrees in the pool, and you are drowning, meaning you took a breath of water in, and it does, as soon as the water gets into your bronchial tubes, whoosh, you stop breathing in. and you freeze. All your voluntary muscular system just ceases to move. You're like frozen in suspended animation. But your heart's still beating. Most people don't realize that. They think when you start breathing in the water and the water hits your bronchial tubes and you're in this frozen state, a lot of people that are not in the business of saving lives thinks everything stops. Not so. The heart continues to beat. So, you could see the person in the bottom of the pool, for example, if this just happened, and 30 seconds after this person is underwater, you think they're totally dead. Not true. They're in this state of drowning, ing at the end of the word, which means that you will, in a couple of minutes, your heart will stop. And when your heart stops, that's it, 5 or 10 seconds later, your brain dies and you're over. Well, depending on how much time we're talking about. So if you pull someone out of the water and you can feel a pulse, that's the first thing you go for. Real quickly, like if there's more than one of you trying to revive this person, which means trying to get them to breathe again. You hold their nose and open their mouth and you do mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. That's the best method. And if their heart's still beating and you're doing mouth to mouth, chances are, they'll choke and they'll cough up what little bit of water is in their bronchial tubes, and they'll start breathing and they'll cough and they'll breathe and they'll cough, and you got someone, their eyes will blink and you're you should be back in business. If you're on the beach, the beach has an angle to it. The feet is above the head. So you lay them on the beach with the head towards the water and the feet, upwards towards the dry sand. That's how you lay the body. The body that you just drug out of that you just saved out of the cold Atlantic waters. Yeah. And so that way the water will tend to be flowing out of the lungs rather than deeper into the lungs. So when you're doing the mouth-to-mouth, you may get some water first, and of course you spit that out, and, turn their head sideways and drain the water out, and then give them mouth-to-mouth, and you breathe in and breathe out, breathe in and breathe out. Then you stop, take a couple of breaths of air, so you're going to breathe some breathable air into their lungs, and then you blow air into their lungs, and you suck it out, and you blow it in and suck it out, mouth to mouth. You're holding their nose, and within about 15 seconds of doing that, they should start coughing. They'll start breathing again, and they'll cough out the water, and their heart has been beating all the time, and now since they're breathing, they'll properly oxygenate, the rest of their body, and they'll be revived. That's how that works. Yeah. Okay. Marilyn says she can't connect to the internet. You can see this is live. I don't have internet connection. Hold the side button. Marilyn says she doesn't. There we go. That's the answer. She's not connected. Her phone is not connecting to the internet. So the best thing to do is to shut the phone down, restart it. Let's see if this phone is connected to the internet. My phone. See, I had that problem with my computer. I couldn't get my computer connected to the internet. All right. So my VPN is on. So that pretty much means you're connected to the internet. So there's two ways to turn off the phone. iPhones. The side button on the right side. You hold that button in and just keep holding. Keep holding and keep holding and keep holding. Here's the safest way to turn it off. If you go to the gear, that gear looking thing. Let's see. There you go. You can see right there. The settings. It looks like that gear. You touch that gear. Where it says General. Then you touch General. And you go all the way to the bottom of that page. You can see where it says Shut Down. In green, in red, shut down, the very last item. You touch that, and then you get the chance to slide this switch all the way over, and that'll turn off iPads or iPhones. Same exact situation. Then you have to put your password back in. And same thing, it'll shut down your iPhone, General, go all the way down, shut down, and then it gives me a chance to slide it over, which I'm gonna do. And now the screen is black. It is off. I'm just gonna leave it off for the time being. And then I'm going to turn it back on. And there's two ways of turning it back on. You hold the side button here for a few seconds. And that'll bring it on. Or if you have a charging plug, plug it in the bottom and you'll see the white apple. You see the white apple? Just shut up. So that's how you restart the phone. So now it's restarting. It's just like a computer restarting. It is a computer. that also makes phone calls. It is a very, very sophisticated computer in these portable communications devices. There we go. I'm restarted. The time is 9:47. There you can see 9:47. I got 9:47 on that screen. We got 9:47 on that screen. And they'll all, you'll see when it goes to 9:48, they'll go to 9:48 at the same, within 50 milliseconds. Apple has, the networks, they all have to have the right time. To the 50, within, I think 50 milliseconds is the tolerance. Here we go. We got 5 seconds to go. Both these devices will turn to 9:48. Bingo. See, 9:48 at the same exact time. I mean, all the iPhones all over the United States will switch to that minute. Different time zones, but yeah. And then, of course, use your Face ID. Oh, wait a minute. So now we're going to see if it connects automatically. And I'm connected to the internet. Now, why her phone isn't connecting, it's hard to tell. If she restarts the phone, she'll probably get connected. Let's see. Did you There we go. I told her I don't have internet connection on my iPhone. Hold the side button to turn off your phone and then restart the phone. Anyway, so whenever your phone, we're speaking iPhones, or actually any of these devices, whenever they start acting a little bit goofy, this button isn't working, that button isn't working like you're used to, restart it. You should, every Sunday restart the phone. Once a week. You should turn it off for 30 seconds. And you can, unless you have your side button assigned to do something else, which in the case of my phone, I do. So then you go to Settings, General, go to the very bottom of that bunch of items you can pick from, and you'll see something that says shut it down, turn it off. It's in blue, or it's in a color, whatever color you chose. The default color, I think, is blue. So visually here, I hit the settings button. I go to, general, for example. You touch the general button and you can see general up in the top. You go all the way to the bottom of that list, and because you got a lot of choices, a lot of things you can do under the general tab. And the very bottom thing is shut down. That's the Apple equivalent of turn it off. Shut it down. Shut down the computer. And that's what you're doing. You're shutting down the computer. Yeah. And then you restart it. let it go for 30 seconds, and then you restart it. And one way to restart it is to hold the side button for about 5 seconds, and then let it go. And then a couple seconds after that, you should see the white apple show up in the middle of the black screen. And then it's restarting. And the computer has to reboot. That's rebooting the computer. Like if you were going to reboot your desktop computer. And same thing with a desktop computer. If things aren't working properly, shut it down, restart it, basically. Apple has a tab where you can, on the MacBook Pro, the Mac operating system, in the very corner there's a little apple up there, and one of the menu items on the little apple, if you click on it with your mouse, you have to do the mouse because there's you can't run the Apple iPad software on the Mac. And the Mac doesn't have, the chipset doesn't have a data line telephone number embedded in it. That chipset doesn't exist in a MacBook Pro or a MacBook Pro Air. I have the MacBook Pro, the Air version, which is the slightly slimmer version, and it doesn't have the fans to cool off the processors. But it has embedded the chip with a silicone paste, if you will, and it's attached to the back edge of this inside the in the middle of this computer, the guts, which is under the keyboard. The screen is the top half of the MacBook Pro laptop, and then everything else is under the keyboard, the batteries and the processing circuits and all that. But in the MacBook Pro, the processor that gets hot is attached underneath the keyboard with some silicone cement, or it's gooey. It doesn't harden. It's like a paste, and it tends to conduct the heat away from the processor to the aluminum body here, and there's a lot of aluminum, and it conducts the heat and then from there the aluminum molecules conduct the heat away from the processor, to where on the bottom here you don't feel any heat at all. But if you run your fingers up, it gradually gets warmer and warmer, because the processor is right above the 3 key, the 4 key, and the 5 key, right there. It's not smack in the middle, it's to the the left of middle. I would say it's the chip is right where I'm rubbing, right above the 3 key and the 4 key. That's where it's the hottest right now. Yeah. Amazing. These Apple folks, they know what they're doing. I've turned off all our devices. I was working the beta version of the software. I've decided no more beta. It's time to, when these download software for the new version of the software. I'm up to like, let's see what the software is. I'm going to hit the thing, the general tab. See, iPad OS version 18.4. And if I touch that, it gives you, the update includes bug fixes for your iPad. So it's 18.4, but in brackets, it's 22E240. Yeah, it's always got something there. So if you were de-hacking a computer with, an Apple person, you want to know let's see if you touch this. Yeah, that doesn't tell you. If you get a hold of an Apple guy and you call him on the phone, he's going to find out, what are you connected to and all that, and he's going to ask you to disconnect, all these wires except for the one, your charging wire in case it needs to be charged. And then he's going to ask you to go to the iPad OS version and read that number. And then he's going to ask you to touch it and read the number that's in the brackets. Yeah. iPad OS 18.4. And notice it's there's no beta. We're getting close enough to, in June, they're getting ready to, load version 19. So while we go, from 18.4 be 18.5 or 6, that'll be clicking up, over the next weeks, getting into the end of the first week in June is when Apple has their worldwide developer conference, and that's when the new version of the software usually gets dropped to everybody. So that's my story. Apple Care? I've got Apple Care. Accidental damage, hardware service, express replacement. They're going to look up what it costs for a new one of these suckers if you go for the express replacement, because you're sick and tired of how this laptop is working for you. And anyway, that one is going to need to get the sound off. Sports fans. So so I am really in love with my iPad, and I use it a whole lot more than the iPad Pro. I use the iPad Pro to put on these this connectivity with the social networks, and YouTube Live and Facebook Live and Twitter Live. It's a simulcast, and everything we're talking about here goes to those three networks, those social networks. simultaneously. How about that? It's a simulcast. There's the 3 cameras. The iPhone is magical. And this year, all 3 of those separate camera lenses will be backed up individually with their own 45 million pixel imager. That's like crazy intense. Which means you can, the bottom line what that means is you're going to have a really super resolution imager. And if you take a good picture, the lighting is right and you don't jiggle it when you don't jam the button down, you squeeze it. And it should work good for you. I don't know, I think those cameras are so amazing that I might even sell my R5. It'd break my heart, it's like, but what the heck? I'm no spring chicken anymore. Am I really going to walk around and use that camera? And it's, it's you pay, brand new, you'd pay $3,800 for that, plus tax, $4,000 camera. I can probably sell it on eBay for $2,200. It probably bid at 22. It's in perfect condition. There's not a mark on it. It's been fully tested, so everything works. It's out of warranty, probably. Yeah, it's got to be out of warranty. So I can't use that in the pitch. But it's working perfectly, And I have a lens on there that's worth $3,000. I'd probably get 2 for that. So between the camera and the lens, I'd probably get $4,500, maybe $4,000. And right now it's, so I paid $7,000 for it. I'd probably get $4,500 for it. Yep. I'm looking through these images. So finally there's some, evidence out there that drinking all of these diet sodas is not so good for you because of the sugar substitutes, can affect the neural functions of your brain. That's not good. I'd rather have sugar, and let the insulin burn off the sugar than take the chemistry of a Diet Pepsi. I don't drink diet sodas at all. The only time I drink soda is when I put a little vodka in it. And that's once or twice a week. Yeah, not every day. None yesterday, for example. Daniel comes over, we'll have a cocktail together. I don't basically make one. Well, Marilyn and I are watching the news or whatever. No. Drink iced tea. I make very good tea. Yeah. This article here is saying, have breakfast in the morning. By 10 or 11, you should have something good. Not some little piece of half a bagel or something. You need to eat more than that. Your brain requires nutrients. So you need to feed your body. And if you're on a diet, then, eat non-fattening foods. Don't eat a big piece of cherry pie, which is pure sugar. inside that cherry mix. Breathe. Breathe in. Like the yoga. Breathe deeply. Don't just have the small, shallow breaths. Breathe real deep. And don't force it out fast. Just breathe in. Force yourself to breathe in as much as you can. Don't sit countless hours in a chair. That's what this story's about. Get up, walk around, and then sit back down if you have to. But don't just sit. Don't sit on the couch all day watching TV. Get up, walk around. Every 45 minutes, get up and walk around. So you sit for 45 minutes, then you get up and walk around for 5 minutes. A lot of times I'll get, if we're watching something, I'll get up off the couch and I'll stand up behind the couch looking at the big screen TV and just watch it standing up while I'm moving my legs up and down like walking in place. Yeah. Getting less than 7 hours of sleep can give some people some problems, with brain function and so forth. I'm lucky if I get 7 hours of sleep. I generally get, I'm more on the 5 hours, not 7. Don't drink too much sugar. Anyway, that's some fast notes on the new study reveals that insufficient vitamin K may harm your brain health and memory. And what's vitamin K? That's another word for what's that? Vitamin K. The natural source of vitamin K? Eat a banana. Eat a half a banana. And then eat the other half the next day. Eat a half a banana a day. And you won't have any vitamin K issues. That's the one thing that you get with a banana is vitamin K. A bunch of other things. Good source of protein and so forth. But vitamin K is obtained by eating a banana. All right, sports fans. Go get ready for the rest of the day. It's Friday. You got a lunch appointment? Go do your lunch appointment or get ready for it. Remember, a day's work for a day's pay. Stay focused. 11:30, get ready for lunch. Don't get ready for lunch now. It's only 10:12. There you go. You can see the time right up there in the corner. I got that. That's for you guys to see. Yep. I got clocks all around me. This lady right here is in charge of what's going on in Greenland. She was the commander of the U.S. forces, and she's just been removed from her post. The vice president didn't care for her making snide remarks about Trump. You're gone. He's your commander-in-chief. So we'll get someone else that is loyal to Trump. We can't have someone in this society doing anything but speaking well of our president. Okay. I'm done. Let's see. So, I'll see you probably again on Monday morning at about 8:15. If you got anything you want me to talk about, send me a text, and I'll make sure it is included. Otherwise, we're going to watch the Masters, and I'm going to be rooting for Scotty Scheffler. As a matter of fact, I'll see if there's any morning broadcast. I think there is a morning broadcast of it somewhere. Let's see. Oops, not Instacart. I don't want too many things open at once. Get rid of Instacart. We want to open Xfinity and see what's live at Live TV. Can we see that on my... there you go. In the bottom channels here, I'm looking for US Open. Or, no, I'm looking for Masters Golf Tournament. Is it too early for... I thought in some of these channels you'd see some... Let's go up to... No, I guess not. Let's go up to, what's on at noon? Let's do noon. 12. Now, these wouldn't be on yet, but at noon, what do we got? The Golf Channel, live from the Masters. Live from the Masters. Oh, so it's on now. On channel 405. Let's touch it. Let's watch it. I thought I'd be recording all this stuff. The series. Yeah. Setting. Okay. Can we see that? Yeah, we can. And I'm going to hit, whoops. No, we don't want to deal with that. Not now. Watch. Let's see if you can see it. It didn't go as planned. It's probably because it's connected to the system. They're getting cute now. They won't allow me to retransmit this proprietary. I'm going to unplug this from the system. There we go. Now it went black for you guys. So you're stuck with watching me with this. Yeah. And the third one is gone. Let's go full screen here, yeah. And then I'm going to add this one. There we go. And I need to reverse because I want to be on the right. Swap cameras. There we go. Yeah, now we're in. Now I'm going to try to see if I can see the masters over here. You can see where my finger is. Watch it. It's connecting now. There you go. And Justin Rose isn't on the... Oh, he's on the fourth hole. He's got a birdie. So he's 100 for the day. So they're going to be talking about some of the players. This will be the second round today. McIlroy, he's even. He's only played one hole. So Justin Rose got an early. You know, it's always... Well, it's not always. It's generally better to tee off early. That way you have less wind, less rain, less inclement weather in the Atlanta area. You know, the later in the day, you have, higher winds. It's usually not calm all day. It's usually calm in the morning. So they're going through some of these players. Let's see. Ludwig Aberge. He's parred the first hole. So he hit his driveway in the fairway. And you can barely see it over here. If I go full screen. There you go. That doesn't make it any bigger now. Oh well. Oops. Second round. Some of these other takes a while to load up all the golfers onto the golf course. Scotty may have a later tee time, like noon or something. Since they haven't mentioned him, he probably hasn't started playing yet. They rotate that. They put all the names in a hat and pull it out for the tee times. Or there's some method by which they they may arrange the players on how the last tournament, high to low, as far as on the charts. And then if you had the first tee time one day, you're going to have the last tee time the next day. They keep moving everything around, so everyone gets a shot at playing early or playing late or whatever. To me, the earliest time you can get out, the better. It's nice. sunny day. You can see the shadows and this guy practicing his golf swing. His tee time is 10:37. It's 10:22. So in 15 minutes, he'll be called to the tee box. He should be standing there, 2 or 3 minutes before that. But in the meantime, he's practicing his chipping. They've hit 1,000,000 balls, and they're going to hit 1,000,001 balls. You just need to. It's all, this hand-eye coordination stuff. They make it look easy, but they're all trying to, it's an individual sport, but you're trying to play better than anyone else. All right, sports fans, watch the Masters. Do your work, whatever you're doing. Get up and walk around. That's what I'm going to do. Because I've been sitting here talking to you guys for an hour and 40 minutes since 8:15 or so. Okay, bye-bye.